So you have a super popular shonen anime series with unique abilities and powers, and it's finally gonna get a video game. So what do? Well, you make all the characters fight in a circle, of course. I don't know why, but for some reason, with all the uniqueness of what anime has to offer, when it gets ported into being a video game, they all tend to be a little bit similar. You have games like DB Fighter Z, which is played in professional fighting tournaments, but for some reason, when you get all the shonen anime games together, you get this. But all anime battle arena games are not all bad, so let's take a look at some of them as we can rank them and see which are the good ones and which are the not so good ones. Let's get the main one that I think most people are going to remember out the way, Jump Force. And this is actually one that I played extensively and I was actually kind of goated at. And now if you're an anime fan, I know you probably remember when this trailer dropped. You got the announcement of a new Shonen Jump fighting game. You saw the trailer of all these characters you love fighting through New York City, a real life location. You thought that this was going to be an awesome game. Well, there's a reason it's a dead game now. Now, one thing that sticks out to me about Jump Force, and I think what a lot of people think about it, is its art style. Now, for an anime game, they did a really strange choice with how they decided to do the art style. This game looks like when you have that weird 4K shader on Minecraft to where all the things look a little bit too realistic when they really shouldn't. As far as how it plays as a fighter, it's okay, I guess. I had a lot of fun when I played it first, but it definitely gets really old really quickly. There's not too much you have in the way of combos. I mean, there definitely are combos, but they're not that good. And the abilities are kind of cool, but they kind of feel lackluster at some point. And prepare to definitely get spammed if you're playing this game. If you fight against Roy from City Hunter, you will just be shot over and over and over again without a chance to escape. And some of the abilities are honestly way too powerful. I mean, you have Ryzen from Bleach who can just throw up a wall and then do one move which basically just kills you. I mean, literally, it's almost undefensible. Like, the moves in this game are way too overpowered. But aside from just the gameplay, I think the biggest problem with this game is really just the roster. You have Shonen Jump, you have all these animes which you can do so many cool characters, and out of the few that they picked per series, they definitely missed the mark. I mean, just look at One Piece. You have Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, which makes sense. You have Sabo, which, okay. Blackbeard, I can see him as well. But honestly, Hancock, out of all of the One Piece characters, you don't put in like Law or Ace, but instead Hancock. They made some weird choices. Later on with some DLC, they did add Law to the game, which I guess is cool, but the problem is the game was already dead by that point, so who really cares? He should have just been included with the game. And with having so many Shonen Jump IPs, you think that they could have so much creativity, but for some reason they added no costumes to any of the characters. You just have how they look like and that's it. I feel like anime games need to always play off the costumes because they can do so much with these, and you see it in other anime games, so I don't know why they have it here. Overall, pretty mid game, pretty mid fighting, pretty mid art style. I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10. But like I said, not all anime battle arenas are bad, so let's take a look at one that's a little bit better, like My Hero Academia 1's Justice. Now this is definitely a step in the right direction, but it's definitely not perfect. This one has a pretty good roster of characters for the My Hero series, has a pretty good art style as well, which makes the gameplay pretty visually pleasing to watch. And the fighting in this one is definitely not perfect. I mean, it does have a lot of problems, but it's fun enough to get the job done. This one is mainly built off of a rock, paper, scissors type of fighting, to where you have normal attacks, counter attacks, and then unblockable attacks. And that makes it kind of cool whenever you successfully guess what your opponent's about to do. Like, you know they're about to hit a counter, so you hit them with an unblockable, but that does get old pretty quickly. And it also really makes the fighting feel like a guessing game, to where sometimes you're getting hit and you just get frustrated. But I think the biggest downfall for this game is its over the shoulder perspective. It can make it kind of hard to follow when you're playing, and then once you get pinned up against the wall, it's basically unbearable. But when you do hit those combos, it looks so amazing that it's kind of just fun to go with. So this one's not perfect, definitely better. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. If you're a My Hero Academia fan, you would probably enjoy playing it. Now, we can't talk about anime battle arenas without talking about the goated game from the goated series, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. These ones are all pretty solid. I would say these are basically the fundamental of what an anime battle arena should play like, but it's really the question of which one is the best one in the series. And for me personally, I'm going with Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, so that's the one I'm going to be talking about. But honestly, all of them play pretty similarly. It's just a few minor differences on like some characters or a few battle aspects, so they're all practically the same. The reason I think that these ones are such goated games is they go beyond just being a little battle arena game that you can play with some friends sometimes. They actually have a really good story mode as well. well. Whether if you're a new Naruto fan or if you're a returning Naruto fan who probably watched the anime or read the manga a long time ago, you can play these games as a quick little refresher into the story, and they're actually pretty fun to play along the way. But I think with the fighting aspect in this game, the best part about it is its ease of use and how easy it is to get into this game. With anime being as popular as it is now, especially Naruto, if you're ever in a situation to where you want to play an anime game with somebody but they're not the best at video games, you can pop this in, hand them a controller, within a few minutes they can get a hold of the controls and at least put up a decent fight. But that's not to say that there's not more depth in this game, as if you go online, you're definitely going to be running into sweat. And that's the reason why I personally never really played online, and I could just play with my friends and brothers because, yeah, I'm not trying to deal with that. But overall, it's almost like I don't even know what to say about this game because they're so much fun to play. They have great stories, they have great fighting that's easy to get into, they have a great roster of characters. Really, the only complaint I have is because they don't have any costumes in the games, which I don't know why anime games always don't like to put costumes, but other than that, this one's a solid pickup. I'd put this honestly at like an 8 out of 10. Definitely worth playing if you like Naruto. But we can't only talk about the good games, as there's some that I think that are not the best, and for that we gotta look at One Punch Man, a hero nobody knows, which I wonder which company made this game here. Jump Force is always going to haunt these games, I swear. This game is almost an opposite of Naruto because Naruto had a pretty great story, but then this one is just completely repetitive. You're basically doing the same mission over and over, just beating up a few people. Now admittedly, for One Punch Man being drawn as bad as it is originally, the game actually does look pretty good when you're fighting, because when you look at the cutscenes, yeah, they're not so great. It literally just looks like they didn't want to animate some of the characters, so they just had them in a default pose as they flash some text on the screen. It's not good. But this is a fighting game, so let's talk about how the fighting works in this, and it's really not that good. Basically, how the fights go is you're just going to be fighting for a little bit, holding out until one of the heroes comes and arrives to save you. So you're basically just waiting and waiting, running away from the enemies for a little bit, but then you finally get to play as a hero and it gets a little bit better. But I have to admit, once the hero finally arrives and you see Saitama running in and he just comes in and one-shots the enemy, it is pretty funny. If there's anything I have to say about the game, it's that I actually respect the fact that they made Saitama beat everybody in one punch, and it's just pretty funny to see that every time. But honestly, with this game, it's like it can't decide if it wants to be an action game or a fighting game, which just makes the fights not that great to play as, so I don't really like this one. I wouldn't really recommend it, even if you like One Punch Man. I'd give this one like a 5 out of 10. But there's one anime battle arena game that's better than any of them will ever be. The pinnacle of anime battle arena games, and that is Budokai Tenkaichi 3. But I promise I'm not just saying that because it's nostalgic for me and I loved playing that as a kid. This is truly just such a great Dragon Ball game. With Dragon Ball fights being pretty fast paced, I mean they're always disappearing and punching each other and going all over the place and flying around, it would be pretty hard to replicate that into a game. But somehow, some way on the PS2 they made it happen, and even to this day this is so much fun to play. To start off, I would say one of the best aspects of this game is its character roster. With Dragon Ball being a series that's over 30 years old, you can imagine how many characters have been in the series. And for the time that this came out, I mean, this was before Super, they had an insane roster of characters. I mean, characters you probably will never play, but they just added it in because why not? Are you maybe the one person that's a Spopovich fan in Dragon Ball? Well, sure, you can play as him. Or maybe you just want to beat people up as a Cyberman. I mean, why not? You can select so many characters, and I love how you can just select which form you want to be, because you can either have a fair fight and start out normal, or if you want to just start up Super Saiyan 4 and be super overpowered, I mean, go ahead. And to get into the fighting of this, it is literally almost perfect Dragon Ball fighting. There are moments to where you are just fighting somebody and you are both teleporting as you guys are hitting each other until one of you finally lands a combo into a Kamehameha. It is truly so much fun to not only just play, but also watch. When you finally get hit, but then you teleport behind them and you knock them into the building and you see the building shatter, I mean, I know it's PS2 graphics, but it truly makes you feel like you're playing Dragon Ball. The maps are great in this one, the fighting is fantastic. The story mode, I'll admit, is not really the best. I mean, you just kind of fly around and go into a few battles, but I think if you just want a quick game to play that's nostalgic, fun, and just truly makes you feel like you're fighting in Dragon Ball, this is the game to play. and I absolutely cannot wait until the new game comes out, and you better believe I will be playing that non-stop and be the best I can in that. The only problem I have with this game, like every anime game, is the lack of costumes. I truly don't know, like, why don't they just put costumes for the characters? It's not that hard to do. But this one, I'm going to give a solid 9 out of 10. That's not just a nostalgic speaking. I truly think that this is a great anime game that makes you feel like you're actually fighting in Dragon Ball. It has a lot of great moments, and you would definitely enjoy this one. So that rounds out my list there, and I just wanted to give you a quick thank you for watching the video through. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope I can make more videos like this. I think next I'll probably be doing the Dynasty Warriors or Musou type anime game. So, and if you like the video, definitely please subscribe. I greatly appreciate everybody who does, and leave a comment if you can as well.